Let's keep our dog walk talk light today. Let's talk about abortion. I made a post earlier today, and at some point I'll get video editing software and learn how to use it and learn how to put a screenshot. I might just go on and do things I used to do as a teacher, which is easier for me. But I'll share a screenshot if I figure out how at some point. But I was just commenting or sharing a post on Facebook about abortion because apparently a certain party is aiming to get rid of hormonal birth control, which anyone who's been paying attention isn't surprised by that at all. And here's me hoping that these videos that I've been making become part of the historical record. Can you stop digging holes in the public park? Thank you. Hopefully this is a short-lived conversation, and by the time people are watching these videos, it doesn't matter. But it's an old, it's not a new thing. Can you stop? What are you doing? Stop. Athena. Did a kitty bury some poo-poo there? They love kitty poo-poo. It's like Tootsie Rolls. Anyway, I hate when people say that because I love Tootsie Rolls. Okay, knock it off. Can you knock it off? Stop digging. Hi. Stop digging. You can eat the dirt, but stop digging holes. You're gonna make people have broken ankles. Come here. Stop digging. Anyway, and the post was just basically, that, and I said, this is misogyny, this is fascism, whatever I wrote on my post. And then I said, fuck off if you came here to argue, because I don't give a shit, and I've already done the work, because I was of this opinion in a previous life and learned how to knock it off. I think I wrote, I unbrainwashed myself. Seriously, stop digging holes. Don't make me make you. Anyway. Alright, knock it out. 1 second. Alright. She's found other pursuits. There's a couple dogs in the park she's keeping an eye on. Anyway. And so I figured I'd sit and chat about what my process was and see if I can remember it, because honestly, I don't know how much I remember about my conscious choice to stop being pro-forced birth. They like to call themselves pro-life, but we know that pro-life would indicate that they cared about life after the fact of the birth, and they don't, so I'm not giving them that title. Anyway, but I used to be that way. I was raised in a religion that had very strict gender norms, very rigid cultural expectations for how you exist. And as a person born with tits and a vagina, I was definitely raised up to have children. Turns out I didn't want them, and so I never had them. And I'm glad that I didn't. Well, and I would have if my first ex-husband hadn't decided he didn't want them either, because I was still pretty well in the thralls. But she just got mud from her face onto my... Can you stop? Why are you people like this? Anyway, and so when I was part of that, the expectation of that culture, the regular thing to say was, I don't support abortion except in cases of incest, rape, that kind of stuff. Criminal acts. And that was just me towing the company line. I never had to examine my belief. I never had to sit with it. And then when I was a missionary for that religion, because I was dedicated, I did it for 31 years, dedicated. I've got family history that goes all the way back to the pioneers. If you haven't guessed, I'm talking about Mormonism. And Joseph Smith is a cousin. I'm as related as it gets. And I just stayed of that opinion because I didn't have to change until on my Mormon mission. Sorry, I lost track of where I was. On my Mormon mission, I was chit-chatting with my companion, the person I hung out with and did work with in our apartment, and she told me that her parents voted for Obama, and I was like, I could never vote for Obama because he supports abortion. That is where it started, isn't it? That's exactly where it started. And she goes, basically, so do you think my parents are bad people because they voted for him? Because they're not. And I was like, good point. And I stopped and I thought about it, because that's what I do when I get new information I haven't heard before. Oh, look, there's a Mormon, a couple, her parents both voted for somebody who supports abortion. Are they bad people? Did they break a commandment? I had to fucking question everything. That kind of snapped me out of just being part of the status quo, you know? And it was a really important moment for me, and I'm glad I just remembered it, because I want you to know when I started talking, I didn't remember that. And that's where it started. After that, I just kept examining why I believed those things, and I got out of the mission. It was kind of a casual thing. I wasn't confronted with abortion very often, but once I got out of there, I was going to college at University of Utah. That was for my history degree, and I needed a gen ed course, and there was a gender studies class. Okay, girl, you gotta stop. That's your ear infection ear, and you're gonna get it infected bad. You have to be careful. It's already irritated. Stop. You have to be careful, baby. I love you. I love you. Stop. Hold on. Anyway, gotta take this over for him. But yeah, so I took this gender studies course, and I didn't know why I was so antagonistic towards the information I was receiving at first. And then stuff just kind of started making sense. It's hard to explain. It's a semester-long course, and at the beginning, I pushed back against it. I rebelled, if you will, and it was... Sorry, that's the ear gunk. See, we gotta clean her out again when we get home. She collects a lot overnight, anyway. But yeah, so by the end of that gender studies course, I was well on my way to recognizing the patriarchy and recognizing, in the autistic way that I do, the unfairness of the systems we were under, and how it was part of my culture that I was raised with. But that didn't mean it was what everybody believed. And then, this was... So I had a Facebook account. I started one of those back when you still had to be in college. So I've been on the Facebook for a very long time. Since 2000. What was that? 2005 is when I got on. And that was where it kind of started, where you could find information. Did you just hear Chester? Are you hearing that? Chester's farting. You should be embarrassed. But he's not. He only cares about what's going on over there. Oh yeah, it's the dog. Well, thanks for keeping me aware. Hold on. Alright, crisis averted. Cutie baby's gown. This is a sweetheart. Chester was being rude. I had to deal with that. Anyway. But yeah, yada yada yada. Time goes on. You start being exposed to the experiences of other people, and I just started learning very slowly. Like, it didn't come very quickly. It was a years-long process of deciding that I didn't want to believe that way anymore. First. and then figuring out why, deconstructing it, what the problems with the belief were, and then figuring out how to replace that belief with something more productive. And that's how you change your mind about things. You have to, first of all, decide that what's in your mind isn't serving you and isn't working for the way you want to represent yourself in the world. Like, I want to be the person that is kind and empathetic and accepting to everyone in my circle, because that's how I feel about everyone, is that they're acceptable, you know? And it's like, you're only unacceptable if you hurt somebody, and that's like my only limit, is just do no harm, take no shit. That's our motto. And what I was doing was harmful. The way I was believing and the way I was talking about my beliefs, like when my missionary companion told me, well, do you think that my parents are bad people just because they voted for Obama? And now looking back, I'm like, I wish I'd fucking voted for Obama. God, I still voted. This was back in 2008. This was the first election when that conversation happened. It was 2008. And then in 2012, I voted for Mitt Romney. So when I say this is a fucking process, I mean, I still don't think Mitt Romney's that big of a problem. As far as, like, he's really shown his colors because he stood up to Trump. I'll give him his credit. But he's still an institutional Republican. You know, there's only so much you can do with the beliefs that they espouse. But looking back now, I should have voted for Obama, because who I am now absolutely agrees with him. And that's how long that kind of shit takes. When you're doing it by yourself. Or when you're self-taught, I should say. Because the resources were provided by other people with real-world experiences. And so I'm not self-taught in the sense that I just came to this decision in my own mind. I'm self-taught in the way that anybody who learns should be, in that I studied and learned from people with more expertise than me. And it served me. And now here we are in 2025. What's that, 17 years later since the start of all that? And honestly, couldn't be happier with the person I've turned out to be. I've never been so empathetic. I've never been so understanding of others, including people who are still pro-forced birth. And I'm going to continue saying it like that because they need to hear it. They need to hear it in the same way I needed to be told that I was judging good people for no reason. Or should I say, for a wrong reason. They need to hear it because being judged challenges you. And if your opinion, the way you're living your life, can't stand up to scrutiny, then maybe that belief system, way of life, that thing about you, maybe it needs to be abandoned. If you can't hold up to a peer review, then what you believe isn't scientific. Stop. It's not her fault. It just feels good. Stop. All right, hold on. Good job, baby. I'll do it. You just come to me. Because sometimes, just because it feels good, you keep scratching that itch. But what you're ending up doing is you're contributing to the infection inside your own ears. And eventually you're going to go deaf. But sometimes you need a person outside of yourself who's got ear cleaner and can come in and help you deal with that mess and get some medicine in there and help you keep up with that. And it's like, yeah, eventually that yeast infection clears up and you can start hearing clearly and you start realizing how much you've been missing. So rather than continuing to infect your own ears just because it feels good in the moment, maybe start questioning if what you're doing is actually serving your needs and the needs of the people around you. Anyway, I don't know if that made sense. Look at this. Do I need to knock you out? Do I need to knock you out? I would never. She knows it. But I might have to sedate you to get you to stop digging. Anyway. Hope you enjoyed our time at the park. I think it's time to go home.